Hello again, my name's Gabe Zolna. You know, I posted MBI 4558. The 757 could not have hit the Pentagon. And that's created some interesting comments and responses from some of my viewers. One in particular sent me a link which I'm going to attach. It's fairly lengthy, but you really need to sit back and watch the entire clip. And the title is Skygate 9/11 Full Film. I'm actually amazed that it hasn't had more views, because once you start watching it, you're not going to stop. It provides, as far as I'm concerned, definitive proof that what we were told about 9/11, what we were told about the field in Pennsylvania with Flight 93, what we were told about the flight that supposedly hit the Twin Towers, what we were told about the flight N644 Alpha Alpha that supposedly went into the Pentagon, none of that could have happened the way they told us any of it happened. All airplanes have certain flight envelopes. They're called V-speeds. And what those V-speeds are is they're determined by testing, and the results show the capabilities of that aircraft, any particular aircraft, under any specific kinds of situations. For example, if it flies into turbulent air, if it flies into smooth air, all of those V-speeds change because of the structural integrity of the aircraft. Now, what we were told is that the airplane that hit the South Tower was flying at 510 knots. Well, it's impossible for the airplane to remain together at that speed. The airplane would disintegrate. We were told that the aircraft that hit the North Tower was traveling 430 knots. That's possible, but highly unlikely, because it would be virtually almost impossible to control the airplane. And again, it dramatically exceeds the structural integrity speeds for that particular airplane. Now, these airplanes would have had to have been highly modified in order to achieve those speeds, or the radar information that was obtained was inaccurate, which by itself would be scary, since the radar information obtained is obtained for all airplanes flying into that particular vicinity. The other thing that the video shows us is that there's really no forensic evidence. None of the parts of any of the airplanes were identified as to belonging to that particular airplane. And all parts on airplanes can be identified by the serial numbers of the parts on that particular airplane. None of that was done. So we don't know if the parts that were found were just a collection of crashed airplanes, not the ones that they told us actually crashed. There's also witnesses that said that they saw N644 AA Alpha Alpha fly over the Pentagon. You know, I remember doing a video on that quite a while ago, and I talked about the video itself that we were shown of the explosion, and the plume couldn't have happened the way it happened based on what we were told happened by that airplane. They also talked about the Flight 93 that went into the field in Pennsylvania. What's interesting is they couldn't find any fuel in the ground that would have obviously been there if that airplane did in fact crash there. The plume of smoke that was seen by witnesses, again, was the wrong color for the kind of smoke that you would see if in fact the fuel blew up on that airplane. I think what was shown was sort of a grayish, whereas that kind of fuel explosion would show a black plume. So, there's a whole lot of questions. The black boxes that were found, according to this particular video, didn't have serial numbers. So once again, there's no forensic evidence that those black boxes belonged to those aircraft. We were also told that no black boxes were found on the planes that hit the Twin Tower, yet there were black boxes that were found that hit the Twin Tower. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what's real and what isn't real? You know what's frightening? To me, what's frightening? The George Bush, the President 41, he is heard saying one world order. And then we end up with his son as president when 9/11 occurred, or we were told it occurred. And then we see George Bush, when he's made aware of the Twin Towers being struck, as he's talking to children, he seemed rather calm and collected. I can't imagine anyone that wasn't privy to that kind of information prior to it occurring responding the way he did at that time. And what's really frightening to me is we now have another Bush, Jeb Bush, who's declared that he's looking to be president of the United States. I don't know, folks. To me, it's a little scary. To me, the pieces of the puzzle show a particular kind of frightening picture. And it's the Bushes. Like I said, we've had enough Bushes. But do we really have control? Or are these presidents selected? Not elected, but selected. Watch the video. I told you what I think. I'd love to hear from some commercial transport pilots, and there's a number of them in this video that give their testimony as to how none of it could be real. The GPS coordinates don't line up, the tracking of the airplanes don't line up, nothing lines up. There's no doubt that planes hit the Twin Tower. The question is, were they flown remote controlled? If so, what happened to all of the passengers? Well, the same question could be asked. What happened to all the passengers on flight Malaysia 370? Folks, I don't know. And I don't want to frighten you. But there's a whole lot that doesn't make any sense, based on what we were told and based on the evidence that you'll be given if you watch this particular video. Again, the title is Skygate 911, full film. Please watch it. Please let me know what you think. I told you what I think, and it's frightening.